The literary term negative capability is a term which is till now a matter of quite confusion to all of us. And sometimes it becomes so much irritating, so much confusing that we don't understand what is negative capability. But only one thing, whenever we are surfing a website, we most often learned that it is a term which was first used by John Keats in a letter in 1817. So this is the idea which we can grasp. But actually, what is negative capability? And what does it actually mean? We don't know. Several critics have described it in several ways. And if we look into the works of John Keats, we also find the term negative capability in a diverse way that becomes really puzzling. So we can simply say that uh, negative negative capability is a term which simply means an artist's access to truth without the pressure or framework of logic or science. So what does it actually mean? It means that whenever a writer is composing or pursuing an idea, he does not need to maintain all logically. Rather, he may be sometimes in uncertainties, sometimes he may be in mysteries, or sometimes may be in doubts. But whenever he is pursuing the beauty, he is creating an ideal world, he must concentrate on this panoramic idea, on this panoramic beauty, but not be at all pressurized, at all puzzled by any kind of framework, any kind of logic, or any kind of science. John Keats himself believes that by means of negative capability, a poet's sense of beauty overcomes all other consideration, or rather obliterates all consideration. So, what do we come to know that John Keats is giving the idea that all consideration or logic or science must not come whenever the poet is trying to create an ideal world, an artistic world, to pursue the artistic beauty. I am sure that you are still now quite confusing what does it mean. So now let's have an example so that we can understand what is actually the negative capabilities meant by. Take the example of Shakespeare, and whenever you are reading his any kind of drama, what do we come to know? We come to know that Shakespeare is actually presenting some of the royal kings and some of the tussle, some of the fighting scene. But whenever we read them, we never feel the presence of the poet or presence of the Shakespeare. So, what is meant that negative capability? Negative capability is the negation with capability. Shakespeare has the capability to present everything, but whenever he presents an idea, whenever he is pursuing beauty, he does not present himself. Rather, his ideas, his emotions, his passions, etc., are epitomized in an object that is described in a drama, in a poem. So, here, suppose that you are reading the drama of Tempest or Macbeth, etc. So, what is actually we are observing that Macbeth is going from one place to another place, and he is succumbing to death finally. So, whenever we read Macbeth, we never feel that Shakespeare is actually telling the entire story in the form of Macbeth. Rather, we feel that there is no Shakespeare, and it is the life of Macbeth, and it is only Macbeth who guides and who takes the entire role in the play. So here it becomes quite clear that Shakespeare actually epitomizes, Shakespeare actually encapsulates his ideas through all his characters. And therefore, we find a very beautiful artistic presentation of tragedy. But at the same time, I want to mention that if we look into the another aspect, for example, suppose that you are reading the sonnet of Shakespeare. Shall I compare that to a summer's day? So whenever the I comes in the line, we come to believe that it is Shakespeare himself and who is expressing himself in this line. So here negative capability is not at all working here, but in case of dramas we find that there works negative capability. Even take the example of Ode to the West Wind or Ode to a Skylark. Actually, in those poems the poets are confessing their ideas, expressing their ideas by means of West Wind, by means of Skylark. So they are not at all present in the framework of the work. Rather, they have negated themselves, they have minused themselves from the entire framework. So, John Keats is giving the idea that every poet has the capability, every poet has the artistic persuasion, but the fact is that he negates himself, and whenever a poet or writer does so, he becomes really a great artist. And John Keats himself considers Shakespeare as the fine example of negative capability. So I hope that you have understood whatever I said. Please subscribe if you like this video and don't forget to make comment.